page right now on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I was listening to him today. Fired me up a little bit, but then he got negative. So I don't know if that's what my point was when I brought him up. My point was more, he was a good experience, but now that I'm talking out loud, he was negative and almost alienating his audience today on what podcast I listened to.
Negative toward his audience?
Negative towards his audience, telling them that, why you don't succeed because you're a failure. And that kind of talk,
I mean, I've heard a lot of people similar to that. Some of it can be motivating, but I think that has more to do with your own mental attitude, because if you have a negative mental attitude, you're going to take more offense to it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. I'm in my attitude, I'm in my state of mind, whether it's negative or positive, I'm somewhere on that scale. And
Right.
like Anthony says, when that guy's talking, he's got the freedom to make his own statements, but the way I'm receiving it is either more negative or more positive based on my personal attitude. So that was a point well taken. Thank you, Anthony. And that brings us up to our next principle, tact. That was a joke.
I got it.
Okay. So, tact is the next principle, and it's not a joke. There's a right moment, a wrong moment for everything. Tact is a habit of doing and saying the right thing at the right moment. It's so closely related to courtesy that we cannot practice one without the other. It's an invaluable skill. Now, people show lack of tact by carelessness in their tone of voice, or speaking out of turn, interrupting others, overworking the personal pronoun I, asking impertinent questions, often to impress others with their own importance, injecting intimately personal subjects into the conversations when such subjects are embarrassing to others, going where they have not been invited, boastfulness, flouting social norms in matters of attire, making calls at inconvenient hours. Now, I did that the other day. I didn't make a call at an inconvenient hour, but I sent a text about 8:30 p.m. That had a quote attached to it, and I haven't heard back from the guy. So, little learning curve there, maybe a little tact. If I was a business owner, I work 8 to 5. I don't want to get a text at 8 p.m., I guess, about a quote for my business. So maybe there's a little tact I could have exercised there. So there's other things that we do that show a lack of tact. Holding people on the telephone with needless conversations, writing letters that are overly familiar to people they hardly know, volunteering unsolicited opinions on any subject under the sun, openly questioning the soundness of others' opinions, declining requests from others in an arrogant manner, speaking disparagingly of people in front of their friends, rebuking people who disagree with them, commenting on people's disabilities, correcting subordinates and colleagues in the presence of others, complaining when requests for favors are refused, presuming upon friendship in asking for favors. I've done that. I texted my buddy the other day. I said, I need a refill and $100. Can you help? That wasn't very tactful, but I presumed upon my friendship that he would comply and that he wouldn't, think twice about my request. And he probably hasn't thought twice about my request. He's that good of a friend. But I thought after I sent that text that, there's tactful way to approach that, but I just sent it right out of the blue and, was there for him to receive. So how tactful was my approach? And that's something that it says right here. It says presuming upon friendship and asking for favors. I can't presume because of my friendship that I can ask for a favor, especially so out of the blue and so blatant like that. So there's a thought process there for tact. Using profane or offensive language, expressing dislikes at a drop of a hat, dwelling on ills or misfortunes, complaining about politics or religion, and displaying general overfamiliarity. So that's quite a list. And, we go down the path of life, and it's sometimes hard to recognize that, we may or may not be tactful, but certainly bring tact into your life and think in terms of yourself. How would you feel if something, how would you feel if you got a text at 8 p.m. at night? That's not the right thing to do. I probably should ask him, how it affected him. Say, hey, did you get that text at midnight? See what he says.
Right.
And then, this is assembling an attractive personality. So those were a list of do nots. And generally, I think in terms of attractive personalities, in positive forms. So the list of do nots, we could turn them around in a list of to dos, with careful thought. And instead of having a complete list of do nots, then we have a complete list of do's. It could change our perspective a little bit. Tone of voice is another. Assembling an attractive personality, tone of voice is another sub point. Speech is a method that we most often use to express our personality. Controlling the tone of our voice so that it carries meaning beyond mere words is invaluable. We can say the same sentence in different tones of voice and convey very different meanings. I need that shipment by Tuesday can be pronounced with full confidence, letting your supplier know that your request is something you have every reason to expect as a normal part of your relationship. Say it anxiously, and you may find you've given him the idea that you're in a bind and perhaps he can demand a higher price. Say it angrily, and you can undo years of a good partnership. Practice controlling your tone of voice, listening to the way you sound. When you speak confidently, your positive mental attitude and your sincerity of purpose should show through. Did you hear me? I just stuttered. All right. We got 30 seconds before we end this podcast. So I just wanted to let everybody know, if you want to find me, www.facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. That's www.facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. And we're back with the second half of developing a positive mental attitude. This is a podcast for August 20th, 2019. We're live with Anthony. We are streaming to Facebook. We've got over 2,000 members in our group that have the opportunity to mastermind with us. And we are happy. So we ended with our assembling an attractive personality. We ended on the habit or the tone of voice. And just to pick up on that tone of voice part, I liked the part where he said something about if you express you need that shipment by Tuesday. And if you express it confidently, then they're going to think it's just a matter of course that you need that shipment. If you have anxiety in your voice, then it's going to send a telepathic signal to the shipper that you really need that shipment. And that's going to be suggestion. That's what's called suggestion. You've just suggested to the shipper that you're anxious. So now the control, I don't know if the control is in the shipper's hands, but now the shipper has a thought process, and you have just given him every reason to raise the price on you because you need that shipment so bad, you're anxious, and you've just conveyed that to the shipper. So having a tone of voice is more than just assembling an attractive personality. There's also business sense that comes into play with that. So having a good tone of voice and having the confidence behind it is going to be give you an upper hand, I would think, when you have negotiations or business dealings. So I wanted to finish up on that. Now, the habit of smiling. I see Anthony's doing a lot of smiling. He's happy over there tonight. Good job. Don't underestimate the importance of a frequent and sincere smile and making your personality appealing to others, or its effect on yourself. There's a physiological change that happens when you practice what is called the half smile. And it's not a full smile, it's called a half smile. And really all it is just turning the corners of your lips or the corners of your mouth up just a little bit to change your physiology. When you turn the corners of your mouth up to just a half smile, it literally changes your physiology. You send a signal to your brain that essentially says that you've got reason to smile. And your brain doesn't know how to process that other than, hey, that guy just smiled. So it changes your physiology. Try it right now. Sit with a straight face, practice the half smile, and see the difference in the way that it changes the way that you feel. It's an instant change. So practice smiling in front of a mirror, in fact, preferably while working on voice control. So when you're talking to yourself in the mirror, you can practice smiling. You can practice the inflections in your voice. You can do that kind of stuff. That's how successful people do it. They literally take the time and go step by step. Now, facial expression, that kind of goes hand in hand with smiling and tone of voice too, or at least smiling. People think they're happy, but then you look at them and they don't look so happy. And that's evidence that you can't really judge other people just by the way they look. But, perhaps if that person could have had a better facial tone, then they would have appeared happy to the person that was looking at them. So tolerance is another aspect of assembling an attractive personality. It's the disposition to be patient and fair towards those whose opinions, practices, and beliefs differ from yours. Holding our mind open to new ideas and new information is not simply a way to make ourselves more pleasing to be around. Though it is closely related to tact as a social skill, tolerance makes us better able to identify and seize advantages. We may not make every new idea we encounter our own, but we will examine and try to understand it. Intolerance brings a host of disadvantages. It makes enemies of those who would like to be friends. It stops the growth of the mind by limiting the search for knowledge. It discourages imagination. It prohibits self-discipline. It prevents accuracy in thinking and reasoning. The more intolerant you are, the more you close yourself off to the diversity of the world and to the power of the spiritual side of the mind, which can flourish only when it is ready to accept new ideas. Anthony, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, my own intolerance, I've seen, kind of an overdrive with customer support recently.
Yeah.
Dealing with customer support with not just one company, but across multiple companies. And part of the problem is that I worked in customer support, so I have a little bit of impatience because I've already done everything that they wanted me to do before I've even contacted them.
Yeah.
So I'm generally looking for expertise, and I very rarely find it. And that I've just in the last month, I've spent probably about over 20 hours on the phone with just different varying customer support representatives.
Wow.
And I was just talking to my wife about my own intolerance today, and about hiring someone to deal with customer support, because I don't even want to subject myself to it because I can't get that intolerance out because it's too ingrained in me.
Yeah.
That there's just better uses of my time. But this is something I've been working on with myself for sure, because of higher expectations on other people because of my own self, and sometimes too high of expectations on myself, being tolerant of myself.
Yeah.
It's a combination of both. So yeah, it's something that honestly, as I went through this chapter myself, um, I went through it, and then I went through it in Law of Success, and then there isn't this chapter in Think and Grow Rich.
Oh.
So for Think and Grow Rich, it was actually the Sixth Sense, and it was interesting how the Sixth Sense went across all of these, because you kind of develop a sixth sense when you have these habits in yourself. When you're tolerant, it develops something that people may not be able to put their finger on, but they feel more comfortable with you. And when you have that intolerance, they feel less comfortable with you.
Right.
And even if they don't know exactly what it is, you still put off an energy about you. And it's something I'm constantly working on with myself for sure.
Well, that's amazing. The way that you laid that down, and it goes back to our masterminds that we establish, having that mastermind with yourself, and you're able to keep yourself in check a little bit by gauging where you're at and benchmarking your attitude and seeing how you stack up against these laws of success. You're able to look at yourself and say, hey, I'm not being as open as I could be, and that's going to cause a block in my success. So it's really empowering, and giving other people the knowledge, but just by talking about it, you're giving other people the knowledge that they too can have a conversation with themselves, and they too can block themselves off from negativity. So it's very cool that you were able to share that. I know that tolerance is the disposition to be patient and fair, and that it's affected me also in my life because you alienate other people. They don't like working with somebody when you're impatient and unfair. So holding our mind open to new ideas and new information is going to give us that positive flow, and you're not going to alienate somebody else. Intolerance brings a host of disadvantages. It makes enemies of those who would want to be friends. It stops the growth of the mind by limiting the search for knowledge. It discourages imagination. It prohibits self-discipline, and it prevents accuracy in thinking and reasoning. So I know that back in the early 1900s, intolerance was a big thing. There was a lot of racial divide, and obviously the successful people knew that tolerance was a law of success, and they conveyed that to Napoleon Hill, and he brought that as one of his subpoints to us, that hey, you guys better be tolerant, whether or not you like people of a different color or not is either here or there. You have to be tolerant of them because, they have every right to be here just like you do. So here's your choice, guys. You can be tolerant and allow the natural laws of success to work in your behalf, or you can be intolerant, I don't want to say be stupid, but you can be intolerant and block yourself off. So that's not good either. So make sure you're tolerant of your fellow man. You're tolerant of situations. There's more than just being tolerant of your fellow man. There's situations that arise that you can be tolerant of as well. I know that I have someone in my life that when anything frustrates him, it's automatically grumbling and under his breath. And, it makes me feel like I should be responsible for his happiness, and it alienates me. So I think that it's something to think about when you're in a situation. Be tolerant of that situation and don't grumble. Have a positive mental attitude. You don't want to alienate other people, because when he alienates me, he loses my mastermind harmony and cuts himself off from that infinite intelligence. So tolerance is huge. We could probably spend a lot more time on it. We're going to move on to frankness of manner and speech. I know that everyone resents people who use subterfuge instead of dealing frankly with associates. People who are so slippery that they cannot be pinned down to direct, clear-cut statements cannot be depended upon. So that's a statement that people who cannot be pinned down to direct, clear-cut statements cannot be depended upon. That seems pretty condemning, but that's what Napoleon Hill basically said, that people who are so slippery that they cannot be pinned down to direct, clear-cut statements cannot be depended upon. So if you got somebody that's speaking with a lot of ambiguity, you can automatically assume that that person cannot be depended upon. That is what the successful people say. So it is what it is. Frankness of manner of speech. Be frank, be candid, because the problem with these people is not that they lie, but they deliberately withhold facts from those who have a right to know. Now that's base dishonesty. Just deal directly with people and follow this habit consistently, even though at times it may be at your disadvantage. You want to have that frankness and candidness of speech. How about a keen sense of humor? I know that I need to work on that for myself. I make funnies every now and then, but do I have a keen sense of humor? I would say no. And I could actually literally take time to work on that and develop a sense of humor, and that would help me in my pathway to success. So I know, Anthony, you got your time blocked off for an hour a day to do this and an hour a day to do that. Do you have your time blocked off for an hour a day to work on your sense of humor?
I don't have a specific time for like sense of humor, but out of the 6 core human needs, one of those is certainty, variety, and I consider that as play. So that's something that I add in. I will listen to comedy or do stuff to smile and laugh, generally for play. I don't generally like to watch too much stuff unless it is comedy or I'm learning from it, honestly. So I guess I kind of set that aside. I've had to more recently. When I was getting overwhelmed, I just decided to take more time off and spend more time to help get my mental attitude back to a more positive state.
Oh, well, good. So essentially, studying comedy, or being exposed to comedy helps lighten your mood. And you not necessarily haven't taken any steps to study it, but hey, if you did, it could, you could see the advantages, I'm sure. So having a keen sense of humor is definitely going to change your mental state, and being open to areas where you can inject humor, it changes your perspective. So if you can practice having a keen sense of humor, you can carry that over into having a positive assembling. You can carry that over into having an attractive personality, and you can work on it specifically. Now, we've got faith in infinite intelligence as the next way to assemble an attractive personality. Anthony, do you care to speculate at all on why faith in infinite intelligence would be part of assembling an attractive personality?
Well, I mean, I've been through this chapter, but I don't need to necessarily speculate. But as far as just my own experience, when I'm not having faith in something, generally I don't take the same actions. I will take actions toward the opposite if I don't have faith in something. So that's just natural for people. If they don't have faith in something, they're not going to put their full effort behind it. And
Yeah,
that's why it's so important.
yeah. Well, it's faith is woven into every principle of the philosophy of achievement. It's a principle that isn't necessarily understood, but faith in infinite intelligence is going to be twofold. It's going to be faith as one part and infinite intelligence as another part. So I'll tell you that faith is a belief in things that which are not seen, and then infinite intelligence is things that is beyond the veil, knowledge. So if you have belief in that knowledge beyond the veil, that's what we're talking about. Faith is the essence of every great achievement, no matter what is the nature or purpose. Neglecting your faith while carrying out your definite major purpose would be like trying to study astronomy without referring to the stars. Faith is so important that it is actually one of the other 17 principles of success and will be covered in more detail in the following chapter. So, I'm actually inspired by faith in infinite intelligence, because once I have that knowledge, it gives me confidence. The human mind is an intricate machine designed to accomplish things. The power that operates this machine comes from outside the mind, and faith is the master gate through which we gain full and free access to that tremendous power. The mechanism which opens that gate is desire or motive. There is no other way to open the gate. It is opened by degrees which are dependent on the intensity of those same motives and desires. Only a burning desire will open the gate to its fullest. So essentially what it's saying is that confidence begets confidence. Those who have faith in infinite intelligence, faith in themselves, and faith in others inspire others to have faith in them. And once other people have faith in you, it builds your confidence even more. And it's like a cycle of greatness. So when you have that faith, it's the greatest outlet for the expression of initiative, imagination, and enthusiasm, self-reliance, and definiteness of purpose. And the power outside of the mind that puts all this stuff into motion is faith. So if you don't have a desire, then you're not going to move in any direction. But if you do have a desire, you back it up with faith, then you can move in that direction confidently, and you'll be more likely to achieve your goals. Faith wipes out obstructions like intolerance by freeing our mind of human limitations. Faith wipes out obstructions like intolerance by freeing our mind of human limitations. For what is intolerance but a closed mind? Just as darkness is dispelled by a simple light, so intolerance is eliminated by opening the mind to the influx of power that gives the brain the vision to encompass all of life's realities instead of just a few of them. Faith also gives us power to see past worldly obstacles, to envision new solutions and new ideas along our paths. As one man aptly stated, where faith is the guide, the individual cannot lose his way. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. Where faith is the guide, the individual cannot lose his way. The power of faith is inexhaustible. It is the ultimate renewable resource, a reflection of the Creator's desire that we use it in every way possible. Faith's power is easily attained by any person. No fee must be paid. It is simply appropriated through the desire for its use. The only things over which we have complete control are our thoughts. The only real privacy we have is in our own mind. It is there that we make full and complete use of the power of faith to remove limitations from our mind. That is so true, that it's in our mind, and even the forward movement to move forward is in our mind. We have that power to move forward. And if we have faith, it will propel us in that direction. A keen sense of justice is another way to assemble an attractive personality. I'm not going to beat that one up too much, because I'm just thinking of myself as a successful person. I was sitting in a chair and having things happen around me. What would be considered a keen sense of justice as a successful person? Why would that attribute to my success? And I'm not sure why a keen sense of justice, but it says if you can't deal justly with others, we can't hope to have a attractive personality or succeed in our definite major purpose. The essential component of a keen sense of justice is a dedication to intentional honesty. And that intentional honesty is where you don't hold back truths. You're intentional in your honesty. Many people are honest for the sake of expediency, but this kind of honesty is so flexible that it can be contorted to serve in any situation which furthers their interests. By cultivating frankness of speech, we are already taking an important step in practicing intentional honesty. We must adhere to that honesty so closely that we practice it under any circumstance, whether or not it promises us any immediate gain. So having a keen sense of justice carries with it a host of practical benefits. It establishes the basis of confidence without which you cannot have an attractive personality. So that's what it does. The reason why a keen sense of justice is an element of attractive personality is because it establishes a basis of confidence. Guys, you know, deep down, you know whether or not you're being truthful or not. And if you're not being truthful, you're not going to be confident. And if you're not confident, people are going to see through that. That's a fact. A keen sense of justice also builds a fundamentally sincere and sound character, which by itself is a powerfully attractive trait. It not only attracts people, but offers opportunities for real and lasting personal gain. A keen sense of justice builds our sense of self-reliance and self-respect. It strengthens our relationships with our conscience and allows us to act more promptly since our motives and desires are clearer. It attracts worthwhile friends and discourages our enemies. It opens our mind to faith. It protects us from destructive controversies. It inspires us to move towards our definite major purpose with greater personal initiative. A keen sense of justice is not merely a tool for gaining material rewards. It enhances every human relationship. It discourages avarice and selfishness and gives us much better understanding of our rights, privileges, and responsibilities. With it, every aspect of an attractive personality grows stronger. So I can see how a keen sense of justice, if you can look at yourself, if something were to happen, do you have a keen sense of justice or are you wishy-washy? If you're wishy-washy, then you may want to learn better about a keen sense of justice. Maybe take a stand, or I guess I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but there's an old saying, what's it called? Stand for something or you'll fall for anything. If you haven't taken a position on an issue and you see that issue unfold in your life, then it's going to be there's going to be a little bit of ambiguity there, and you may not have that clear, concise thought process that can help you have a keen sense of justice. So it could be something that you could work on. It's enough to say, guys, that a successful person has a keen sense of justice. And whatever that means to you is what you're going to have to develop. Now, you can't develop all these things at once. This is a long list of stuff. So, take notes, keep it in the back of your head, think about in terms of a keen sense of justice, what it means, and think about the confidence that it brings in your association with other people, and decide that you want success, and then develop that keen sense of justice. And then you'll take a stand on certain issues and practice accurate thought, obviously, but then you're not going to have that wishy-washiness. And then you're going to be more like the successful people. So with that, that ends a second session. Now, this is kind of a long chapter, assembling a attractive personality, and we are about 2/3 of the way through it. So we're going to end a second session for our audio podcast. If you want to reach us on Facebook, you can find us at www.4northerndirect. Or I'm sorry, that's www.facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. That's www.facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. Thank you for joining us in the podcast. And welcome back to August 20th podcast on assembling an attractive personality. My name is Matt and I'm your host. And here we are for the third of 3, assembling an attractive personality. Guys, we've talked about a positive mental attitude. We've talked about flexibility. We've talked about sincerity of purpose, promptness of decision, courtesy, tact, tone of voice, the habit of smiling, facial expression, tolerance, frankness of manner of speech, a keen sense of humor, faith in infinite intelligence, a keen sense of justice, the appropriate use of words. Whoa. We didn't talk about appropriate use of words. That's where we're at, guys. We talked about a keen sense of justice. That was the last thing we talked about. And a keen sense of justice will make you appear one way or the other. And we hope with a keen sense of justice that you appear to be straight up, and that will make your associations better if you appear to others to be straight up. That's what they want to see. They want to see that you're straight up individual, and you will gain so much from that. All right. Sorry, I was a little distracted there, but now I'm back with you. The appropriate use of words is also an element of attractive personality. People who achieve success do it by careful and attentive effort. Our use of language must reflect this quality just as astutely as any marketing plan. Do not make it a habit to litter our speech with curses, obscenities, or casual misusage. Guys, why do we do that? Why? I don't understand why just casually throwing those swear words out there. People don't want to hear that. And, you know, they don't judge you if you don't swear, but they judge you if you do swear. So stop. It doesn't need to be a part of your language. And think of it in terms of Dr. Iamoto and how he talks about water and how the speech to water can create different symbols, and it makes the water on a molecular level look jagged or soft and smooth in terms of the way that the water looks. It looks like little, it's hard to explain. What am I trying to say? It looks like a snowflake. And if your snowflake has soft, smooth edges, it just looks beautiful. But if your snowflake has jagged edges, it looks a little rougher. And Dr. Iamoto tested somebody speaking hate towards water and then flash froze the molecules and saw jagged edges. Then he had someone express love. He flash froze the water and found soft edges. So what I'm trying to say is the appropriate use of words. Cursing is negative. Get it out of your language. You don't need to use it. If you're unsure of your language skills, we can improve them by reading. One man we knew read the dictionary for a half hour every day. He actually read the entries. What about self-improvement books or tapes, which offers vocabulary expansion? We cannot lose by increasing our mastery of language. Language is so important because people make many assumptions about us based on the way we speak and write. If our conversations and letters are direct, clear, and easily comprehended, all the other aspects of our attractive personality will be revealed much sooner and in much better light. So that's so true. People they make a lot of assumptions based on the way we speak and the way we write. So we have an opportunity to practice the way we speak. The self-help books that he mentioned, you can read the dictionary if you have to, but increase your ability to use words appropriately. It's going to go a long way to assembling an attractive personality. And same thing with effective speech. You know, there is no more effective speech than the vital aspect of the appropriate word choice. Combining frankness, word choice, tact, and other aspects of a pleasing personality will make us a powerful communicator, able to speak with conviction and persuasion, whether we are addressing a convention, a round table, or our fellow man. Dramatic, inspiring speech has had incredible influence on the course of civilization. The destiny of nations has been changed and defined by the power of those who know how to speak effectively. And those people have earned a permanent place in history. Now, our ambition may not be so grand, though why shouldn't it be? To master dramatic technique, we must learn to speak forcefully in ordinary conversation. If we practice putting the necessary feeling behind every word we utter in every conversation we have, we will be much more effective in formal presentations. And I think putting feeling behind everything that you say or do is important. you feeling is where it's at, guys. And I think as I go down this path a little bit more, I'm starting to recognize more and more the power of feeling. So we'll pick up on that in a more appropriate time. No amount of dramatic technique will bring an audience back from the dead. There is an adage, know what you wish to say it with all the feeling you command, and then sit down. The last two words are the key. Remember to keep your speeches short. As soon as you have conveyed your point, stop. Long-winded speakers tax the alertness of their audience and show no respect for their time. They fail to persuade anyone. You will fail just as surely if you do not focus your speech in a way that is applicable to your listeners. So it says you will fail just as surely if you do not focus your speech in a way that is applicable to your listeners. So I could fail, guys. I mean, how is my speech? I'm talking to you and you can't see me. How is my speech? Am I going to fail because my way is not applicable to my listeners? Of course, with proper feedback, I'm going to know more about that, but you can focus your speech based on your audience as well. Remember not to use jargon or technical phrases to people who are new to your service or product. We don't want to blow them away with technical terms or talk over them. As we speak, we need to make good use of gestures. Avoid running your hands through your hair or shoving them in your pockets. Take a look at public speakers at every opportunity to learn how they employ their hands. And practice in front of a mirror. The effort we have devoted to controlling our tone of voice will pay off handsomely in our public speaking. We will convey enthusiasm, confidence, and importance through our tone of voice. Enthusiasm is the core element of any speech, for it underlies our ability to bring all the above aspects of good public speaking into a harmonious whole. Guys, we've talked a lot about assembling an attractive personality. And it's pretty cool that we're able to break it down so much. I like that Napoleon took the time to delineate that assembling an attractive personality was a law of success or a principle of success. But he literally took the time and wrote that in his book. It's just amazing that now we can go and look at it and talk about it and continue to learn more. So we're very, very blessed. What about alertness of interest in developing and assembling an attractive personality? We have to be able to fix our interest upon anything, any person, place, or thing, and hold it there as long as the situation requires. If we cannot, the other aspects of our attractive personality will be useless. We can pay other people no greater compliment than to concentrate our attention on them when they want it. Listening well is an even greater accomplishment than speaking well. Well, who would have thunk? Listening well is a greater accomplishment than speaking well. We probably all heard it, that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And there's a lot of truth to that. We want certainly to listen and be effective listeners and show that alertness of interest. Have you walked up to somebody that could care less about what you're saying? I mean, you almost instantly don't want to talk to them anymore. But if they're actively engaged in you and they're showing an interest, then you're more likely wanting to engage with them. So the alertness of interest is huge. If you fidget with something in your pocket, look at your watch, or frequently glance away, we will insult the person who is speaking with us. Not only will we miss the importance of what we are being told, but the other person will instantly recognize your uninterest and begin to withdraw from the conversation. Failure to notice the details of our own actions and of the happenings around us is an all too common weakness. Did you miss that moment of hesitation before your prospect agreed to your proposal? Recognizing it could lead you to discover some better way to offer your service. You might realize that some other service, the kind of service that your prospect would gladly renew each year on the briefest, friendliest contact, would actually be more worthwhile. Instead, you might be faced with the difficult task of continually persuading someone of the dubious value of your efforts. What about the people you work with? Having an alert interest in them is important as well. Our memory will be enhanced by alert interest. If we're actively engaged in what we're looking at or talking about, then our memory is going to remember it better. So active interest is kind of huge because nobody is going to want to engage with you unless you're completely present. Versatility is a element of an attractive personality. No matter how much we know about the field of our endeavor, if we don't display a general interest in the world at large, no one is going to find us attractive. We and our associates may thrive on speaking for hours without end about the work we are doing, but we will be unwelcome as a dentist among people in a candy shop if we're not versatile. Keep ourselves acquainted with the issues of the day and maintain a few pursuits other than your business. They will broaden your character and deepen your knowledge of yourself as well. If you understand yourself, you will be better able to understand others, and they will appreciate you more for it. So being versatile, I could see that if you're not versatile, then you've blocked yourself off from the law of imagination. You're just, you work. That kind of describes my life. But I was able to bring the passion of like bringing the audios and these videos to you. So I've got a different pursuit than my work now. And it's broadening my character and it's deepening my knowledge of myself. I'm literally teaching this stuff to you as I'm learning it. And as I'm learning it and teaching it, it is reinforced because of that. I'm teaching it along the way. But this is about assembling an attractive personality, and we've got 15 minutes to cover 6 more topics. Fondness for people. You got to have a fondness for people. Guys, if you don't like people, how are you going to have an attractive personality? I just don't get it. Fondness for people. What if you were a dog and you didn't have a fondness for people, and a business owner walked in your house and you were a little aggressive towards that business owner? That business owner is not going to perceive you as having an attractive personality. So you have to have a fondness for people. Next time the business owner walks in and the dog's friendly, you're going to get a lot more out of that relationship with the business owner. You have to have humility and an attractive personality. Guys, I know some people with pride, and that just annoys the crap out of me. I don't mind a good, healthy pride, but just an ego that's uncontrolled, I can't deal with that. So be humble. You don't know everything, and you're not, and I'm not the gift to the world. Be humble. Arrogance, vanity, and egotism are never found in someone with an attractive personality. Don't mistake humility for timidity. True humility is a recognition that even the greatest folk are, in the scheme of human existence, only fragments of the whole. Recognize that the blessings we have are a gift to be used for common good, not topics for every conversation. Turn your interest to others. Focus on topics other than ourselves. Allow our faith to grow, and we'll grow in the recognition of the importance of the greater world and its value. People who are strong in faith are always humble of heart, and these qualities are always much admired. Effective showmanship. This is the result of the proper blend of many aspects of an attractive personality: facial expression, tone of voice, appropriate word choice, effective speech, emotional control, courtesy, versatility, mental attitude, sense of humor, and tactfulness. Together, they allow us to gain favorable attention whenever necessary. Now, showmanship doesn't imply grandstanding, clowning around, or wisecracking. These qualities certainly grab attention, but they are tiresome and dangerous. Effective, positive use of the traits which combine to form good showmanship will serve us well, whether we are dealing with one person or 1,000. So showmanship, it has to be effective. I guess that's why they labeled it as effective. Guys, don't grandstand. Don't outdo the boss. He'll take you out. I guarantee it. Let's move on to clean sportsmanship. There's lots of different times where people might see our personality. And in sports, that's one place where people see our personality. When you don't like what's going on and you get aggravated and frustrated and start squealing, use sports as a way to have an outlet, have fun, but don't take it so seriously that it causes you to have bad sportsmanship. People see through that and they don't like it. In general, people don't like it. How can you have a attractive personality if you're screaming at the coach? A good handshake. That's also part of a first impression. You know, and a handshake is a simple skill, really, but it's invaluable at first impressions, and every time a contact is renewed. Make our grasp firm and friendly and not crushing. These days, you could do a fist bump. Fist bumps are cool. But a firm handshake in a traditional sense will convey a sense of character. People are going to have a feeling associated when they grab your hand. It's going to be, you know, there's going to be a sense of warmth. You know, they're going to have a sense. We're going back to telepathy. So they can pick up on your energy. If your handshake is not good, then that's not going to do anybody any good. So work on your handshake if you have to. Personal magnetism. Personal magnetism is the last topic of assembling an attractive personality. Personal magnetism is covered in some books that I have, and literally can't be covered in a chapter. But what personal magnetism is that inner energy that you have. And it can be likened unto sexual energy. This is the only element of an attractive personality that is innate, and it cannot be developed by personal effort. We have what we are born with, and we cannot increase it. Sexual energy is a driving universal force. If we project it, it will aid us only if we use it properly. Proper use does not mean the physical seduction of your associates and business prospects. Rather, we should channel its energy into our efforts, making them, not our body, the source of appeal to others. Use your sexual energy to build your enthusiasm, to display your genuine fondness for people, to burnish your style and tone of voice. Your gesture and posture too will reflect this quality. Sexual energy is a powerful factor in an appealing personality, but will help only if we have refined every other trait. Analyze our personality carefully and honestly to make sure that it embraces no displeasing traits. Even our best friends will not tell us of these aspects of our personality, which may be attracting misery, opposition, and defeat. The time we devote to this analysis will pay enormous dividends, for it will not only give us a true measure of ourselves, but enable us to analyze and understand others. Never make the mistake of thinking that we have done all the work we can do toward generating an attractive personality. Its standards, its rewards are always improving. So that's the end of the chapter, guys. That was a good chapter. It was a long one. There's a lot of elements to assembling an attractive personality. And I think the key word there is assembling. We're practicing the law of creation here on this earth, and we are creators. And you have the power to create just like I have the power to create. And you can create good or you can create bad. You can create positive or you can create negative. You can convey a sense of strength and confidence, or you can convey a sense of weakness and dishonesty. It's all in your personality. And you can take that personality and you can make it attractive if you want to. And we just talked about so many different things that make up an attractive personality, things that perhaps we don't think about, like promptness of decision. Who would have thought that promptness of decision would have been an element to an attractive personality? But it really is. So these elements are presented to us for our review. Things like positive mental attitude, shows an attractive personality. Flexibility, sincerity of purpose, promptness of decision, courtesy, tact, and tone of voice all show an attractive personality. The habit of smiling, facial expressions, tolerance, frankness and manner of speech, a keen sense of humor, faith and infinite intelligence, all show an attractive personality. A keen sense of justice, the appropriate use of words, effective speech, emotional control, alertness of interest, versatility, fondness for people, humility, effective showmanship, clean sportsmanship, a good handshake, and personal magnetism. All of these encompass a pleasing personality. You can take this list, guys, and think about it on a personal level and see how it does for you. See where you're at with all these situations. I know that having a positive mental attitude is going to go a long way to that attractive personality. And I know that there's some times in life that you don't really feel like having a positive mental attitude. You feel more negative. And you can expect those times. So embrace them and then try to turn it around to make your life better. That's certainly going to be key. I appreciate everybody coming to the podcast tonight. This was 3 segments, about a half hour each, where we discussed assembling an attractive personality. I know that it's been a long road for some of you, and if you take time, look at these things individually, one by one, if you're honest with yourself, you can take the steps necessary to assemble an attractive personality. With that, I'm going to end the podcast tonight. My name is Matt. I was your host. I am really thankful that you're here, and I want you to join me on my Facebook group. That's facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. That's www.facebook.com/4 Northern Direct. So we look forward to seeing you all on the Facebook page. Thanks, guys. Anybody out there? We're Facebook Live. So you get enough recording, just enough to transfer.
I don't even bother with saving it. Just do it directly to my computer, and then I just do it mostly as a redundancy. I have one record to my computer, I have one go to Facebook Live, I have one go to YouTube Live, and then I have another go to Anchor. And that's what I do with every single one of mine.
I got you. That works. All right. We're live. Nobody's watching, but we're live. I picked up an i5